Here is a betta fish, better known as the Siamese fighting fish. They are very beautiful fish with vibrant colors. Well, mostly the males are the beautiful ones. That's usually just how nature works with animals. These fish are native to Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos in Southeast Asia. There are many different types of betta fish. Some of the most popular types of bettas are the veil-tail, the half-moon, the rose-tail, the placket, the elephant ear, the crown-tail, the koi, and the double-tail. My fish is an elephant ear betta, also known as the Dumbo betta. If you haven't guessed already from the title, his name is Bruno. Bruno is my 6th betta fish. My first betta was a red veil-tail named Goldie. Don't judge. I was 6 years old when I got him. He lived for 3 years until my grandmother raid-bombed the house and forgot to take him out.
Oh no!
My second betta was named Magnet. I believe I got him when I was in 7th grade. He lived for about 5 months, and he died from an untreated swim bladder disease. His death taught me the importance of always having medicine handy. Let's just say the internet remedies were not a lot of help. My third betta was named Amazon. I got him right before freshman year started. He was a pretty black, yellow, and blue betta. He lived for 9 months. He died because of the elements in his tank. The rocks that I used for him were cheap diamonds that were sharp. These gems cut his tail and they were very dangerous for him. It was through this experience that I learned that these $7 gems are very toxic to any fish. The dye rubs off when you clean them, and they're basically a death sentence for your pet. My 4th and 5th bettas were named Pluto and Neptune. I decided to get 2 bettas because I bought a new tank that came with a divider. If you know anything about bettas, then you know that putting 2 of them together is a mega death sentence. Bettas are very territorial. They feel very threatened when another fish is in their space. However, they don't hate all fish. There are some fish that they can tolerate, such as neon tetras. Out of the 2 bettas, Neptune was the cheaper fish. He was about $6. So Pluto was the expensive fish, and he was about $25. I had little rocks in my tank this time, but I quickly learned that this wasn't a great idea because Neptune ate one of the rocks and died. On the bright side, Pluto lived a little longer than Neptune. Pluto lived for 7 months, but he unfortunately died from stress. That's right, kids. He died from stress. Bettas can be easily stressed out by things such as water changes or tank rearrangements. Here's what happened. Pluto had a SpongeBob pineapple house in his tank, but since he was getting bigger, the hole he swam through would shred his tail. So, I decided to get him a rock. He really liked his rock, but introducing him to a new element just took him out. 2 months later. Now I have Bruno. I got Bruno in March of 2023, so I've had him for about 9 months. Using all of the lessons I've learned from taking care of my other bettas, here's how I take care of Bruno. I feed Bruno once a day. I found that feeding your betta twice a day can lead to overfeeding. I also give him a fasting day on Saturday, where he doesn't eat at all. This also helps to limit the risk of overfeeding, and it promotes exercise because he swims more to get my attention. As far as his cleanings, Bruno is in charge. When Bruno is ready for his tank to be clean, he will knock down his leaf as a signal. A day after he knocks it down, his tank usually looks really cloudy and it's covered with algae. A good practice is to spot clean the tank every 2 weeks and deep clean once a month. Since it's time for his tank to be deep cleaned, I will show you how I do it. First, I gather all of my materials. I use gloves, a measuring cup to scoop out the water, a sponge, a net to scoop out Bruno, another sponge that allows me to scrape off the algae, a container to clean out his rocks, and a bucket to pour the water in the toilet. Before I start, I make sure to wash my hands. Self-explanatory. Then I take an additional container and I fill it with water. I check to make sure that the temperature is not too cold and that the water is warm, leaning on the hot side. Bettas don't like cold water. They are comfortable in water that is about 80 degrees. Next, I rinse off my net to get rid of any dust that is on it. This is me adding the water conditioner. This makes the water safe for Bruno because it neutralizes harmful chemicals in the water. I only add a few drops to the small container because it doesn't need a lot. I let it sit for 5 minutes to let the conditioner do its thing. Now it's time to take Bruno out. This can be tricky because Bruno is afraid of the net. Now that he is out of the tank, I can start to deep clean it. First, I unplug the filter. Next, I take out all of the rocks and I place them in this container. I do not use soap on the rocks. Soap will irritate your betta, so never use soap. Instead, I use hot water. I soak the rocks and I move them around to release dirt and algae. I repeat this step until the water in my container turns from green to clear. I also use a sponge to scrub any rocks that look really dirty, like this one. Once the rocks are clean, I take out a filter pad. These are the filter pads I use because they are the ones that came with my filter. I use one pad per cleaning. I rinse it with cool water, then I take out the old filter pad and replace it with my new one. After that, I build Bruno's tank. Once everything is in place, I add the water. Now I am adding the water conditioner to his clean tank. Before I add Bruno, I wait about 20 to 30 minutes. It is recommended that if you get a new fish or a new tank, that you wait at least 24 hours before adding your fish. Since I've had Bruno for a while, I don't have to wait that long. Next, I add Bruno back into his tank. It's usually pretty easy to do, but since Bruno knew he was being filmed, he decided to do some extra stuff. As you can see, I am very patient with him. I tilted the cup very gently and he finally decided to come out. I usually check on him after 10 minutes to make sure he's okay. Here he is camouflaging with his rocks, doing his normal. And that's it. This is how I clean Bruno's tank. Bruno is one of the best bettas I've had. He is very active and he's a really cool low maintenance pet. If you've been thinking about getting a betta fish, you totally should. After watching this documentary, I'm sure you know what not to do when taking care of a betta. Feel free to visit your local PetSmart or Petco, and you'll find so many different kinds of betta fish. Well, thanks for watching.
My name is Bruno, and I approve of this message.